Hey guys, it's Sarah. Thank you so much for watching. So today I am going to be decluttering my brushes, all of my brushes. I haven't gone through and just decluttered my brushes in a long time, and the reason for that is because I have always thought that the more brushes I have, the less often I'll have to wash them, and I'm just realizing that that is completely illogical because no matter how many brushes I have, I put off washing my brushes until the last minute and then I just have to wash them all at the end anyway. So now my logic is that the fewer brushes I have, the quicker it'll be to wash them, and then the more often I'll end up washing them in turn. So I want to declutter these also because I'm going to be moving at the end of this month just to a new apartment, and so I feel like now's a good time to go ahead and just do a little spring cleaning of my collection. I'm also planning to just go through and pick through my collection as well. Probably won't be a really in-depth declutter like this, but I probably will do a video at least showing you what I declutter from the rest of my makeup collection. But today I really just wanted to focus in on my brushes because I really want to just be realistic here. How many brushes do I really need? Not this many. I don't have a ton of brushes compared to probably the average YouTuber, but that doesn't mean that I need all of these. So I'm gonna dump these all out and kind of sort them out, and then we will start kind of sorting through. So these are all my eye brushes, these are all my face brushes. I kind of want to sort these out even further according to usage. So I've just sorted out all my eye brushes into more categories. So these are all of my shader brushes, brushes I would use to pack shadow on the lid. These are like blending brushes. Why do I have this many blending brushes? These are brushes I would use to put shadow in like the outer corner, in the outer V. I don't know if that's a normal category to have, but that's how I think about it. These are brushes I would use to, well, I guess these kind of go in the blending category. Normally I use those to highlight the brow bone, but we'll just put them in there. And then these are detail brushes, so like liner brushes, smudge brushes, just like tiny brushes in general. So those are all the categories of brushes that I have. I am just like kind of overwhelmed by this because I have like a spot cleaner for brushes. It's like a little spray cleaner that I can use in between uses. So it's not like I have to have like 5 million of each kind of brush. So let's start with the shader brushes. So my favorite shader brush is just the $1 e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. I have two of them. One of them is extremely old and is still holding up perfectly, and then the other one is newer. I use both interchangeably. I like to have two just because, you know, it's nice to have two. Okay, then I have this Milani shader brush. This one is kind of, honestly, a little bit too wide for my eye shape. It's a nice quality brush. This came from a trio. This called like their Jet Set eye brush trio. You'll see the other two in a second. But I think I'm gonna declutter this because it's really wide and I don't end up reaching for it because of that. I just prefer the slightly smaller e.l.f. shader brushes over it. So I think we'll get rid of that one. We'll keep both of these. This one is newer to me. It's part of a set from the brand MOTD. They sent these to me. I'm still working on reviewing this whole set, so I'm probably not going to get rid of any of the MOTD ones. I want to be able to review the whole set for you. And honestly, I really like all of them. They're all really good quality. I love the rose gold handle. I just think they're really pretty. This is their Under the Covers brush, and I think it's meant more to be like a little concealer brush. I like using this for cutting the crease. It's very flat, and it comes to a little bit of a point at the top, so it's really good for cutting the crease, so I am going to keep that. Then I have just two more. These are actually really similar in shape and size. This one is from Eco Tools, and it's just called their eyeshadow brush. And then this is the Wet n Wild large eyeshadow brush. I actually have really been liking the Wet n Wild large eyeshadow brush lately. It's a little bit fluffier than your average flat shader brush. I really like using this for highlighting the brow bone lately, so I am going to keep that. And then the Eco Tools one, this one, kind of like the Milani one, it's a little just big, like for packing shadow on the lid. I just don't feel like I need a brush that big for that purpose. So I think I am going to get rid of both of these. On to the blending brushes. So these are just like crease brushes, fluffy brushes, brushes that I would use for blending out shadow in the crease. So I have 3 of these big fluffy crease brushes. This one is the Wet n Wild crease brush, this one is the MOTD Seamless Sheer Blend, and this one is the Milani, another one of those from that Jet Set eye brush trio. I think I am gonna keep the Wet n Wild because this is one of my just all-time favorites. I just think it's such a good brush. I've had this for like probably 2 years now and it's still in perfect condition, other than like the paint chipping a little bit. So I am gonna keep that one. I think I will go ahead and just get rid of this other Milani one. It's relatively new. By the way, most of these brushes, the ones that are in good condition, I'm gonna clean and donate to Project Beauty Share. They do accept brushes as far as I know, as long as they're clean. They don't have to be brand new. So I am going to keep that in mind when I'm deciding which ones to keep and which ones to get rid of. I don't feel so bad about decluttering things when I know that they're going to a good cause like that. So I think I will get rid of the Milani just because it's not quite as fluffy as the Wet n Wild, and it's just, I don't know, I just don't reach for it as much, so I'm going to get rid of it. And then the MOTD Seamless Sheer Blend, like I said, I am working on reviewing these for you, so I am going to keep this one, but I do really like it. It's very similar to the Wet n Wild, maybe even a little bit bigger. I do really like that one, so I'm keeping that. Then I have 2 of these e.l.f. crease brushes. This is just their crease brush, and this is their detail crease brush. I love both of these because they're both on the smaller side, and I just find smaller crease brushes so much easier to work with sometimes. So I'm going to keep both of those. 2 more MOTD brushes in this pile. This is their Come Through Contour, and this is their Build and Blend. Like I said, I'm gonna keep these just because I'm reviewing them and they're like brand new, so I might as well use them. Alright, these 2 Eco Tools brushes are part of a set that you also will see more of in a second, but this is part of the first brush that I ever bought, and I've talked about these before. They're so old. These are probably like 10 years old. So if that is not a testament to how good of quality Eco Tools brushes are, I don't know what is. Part of me just wants to keep these for sentimental reasons, but at the same time, I'm not that much of a sentimental person. Like, I don't feel too bad about getting rid of things, even if they are very sentimental to me. So, oh man. The thing about these is they're shorter, and for some reason I always am more likely to reach for the taller brushes just because they stick out more in my brush holders. And so I'm less inclined to reach for them. This brush right here, this is called their crease brush. This is actually more like an angled fluffy brush. I actually use this a lot to highlight the brow bone. This is what I've been using to highlight my brow bone for like 8 years, I swear. I think I'm gonna hold on to this just because I use it for that purpose. By the way, this isn't gonna be the most cutthroat of declutters. Don't expect me to get rid of like half of my brushes because I don't have enough brushes to even justify doing that. So like, don't be disappointed if I only get rid of like, you know, a fourth or a third of what I have. It's just not realistic for me to get rid of like a huge percentage of my brushes. Okay, this is the Real Techniques base shadow brush. It's actually kind of really interesting because it's really fluffy, but it's also pinched in. So there's a lot of ways you can use this. I use it for blending out the crease. You can use it, I mean, it's just a good brush. I'm gonna keep that. And then this, I think this Eco Tools crease brush. This is called the highlight brush, but it's really a crease brush. As much as I want to hold on to this for sentimental reasons, oh man, now I'm like, dang it, but this was like the first brush that I ever bought and it's so symbolic. I feel like I should like frame these or something. I definitely can't donate them because they're just so old. We're gonna put that in like the maybe pile for now. All right, these are like my outer corner brushes. That's such a weird category to have. But this is the e.l.f. eyeshadow C brush. It kind of looks like a shader brush, but it's like thicker than one. I just never reach for this. I think this is supposed to be good for like carving out the outer V or the outer C. I don't know if that's what some people call it, but I think that's why it's called the C brush. But I just never use it. I think it just doesn't give me enough control. So I'm gonna declutter that. Then I have the MOTD Masterpiece crease brush. This is kind of like a pencil brush. And I'm going to keep that, like I said. I also forgot to say, this e.l.f. detail crease brush I use a lot for the outer corner, so keep that in mind. The Milani, this was another one from that Jet Set eye brush trio. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass this on too because I just don't use it that much. It's kind of like a really densely packed domed brush, kind of like a crease brush, but it's, I don't know, I just don't use this kind of a brush very often. So we'll just go ahead and pass on that whole trio. This is that whole trio. It's a really nice trio, like all the brushes are nice, but I just don't find myself reaching for them. I think partly because, like I said, they have shorter handles and there's just something about this size of brush that I just don't end up reaching for very often just because of that. So then I have the Real Techniques shading brush. I do use this a lot for the outer corner. It's kind of like a slightly fluffier, small shading brush, really good for outer corner work, so I'm gonna keep that one. And then these are all my detail brushes, so let's tackle this. So MOTD sent their Brow Chicka Wow brush. It has a spoolie on one end and a angled like little detail brow brush on the other end. And then I have this e.l.f. spoolie. I don't need two spoolies because I also have a spoolie with most of my brow pencils as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the e.l.f. spoolie and keep the MOTD. Then I've got two like smudge brushes that are kind of wider. The Wet n Wild and the MOTD Sultry Smudge. I like the MOTD a lot more because it's a little bit thicker. The Wet n Wild is just like so thin and stiff, and I like the way that the MOTD applies better. So I'm gonna get rid of the Wet n Wild. Ooh, this is gonna be so nice to get rid of some brushes. All right, I've got a couple of these. These are two like really little flat detail brushes. The Real Techniques accent brush and then the e.l.f. concealer brush. I don't use these all that often. I tend to use them for like the inner corner when I'm like packing something in the inner corner. I don't know which one I like better, honestly. But I feel like I really should only keep one. I honestly almost like the e.l.f. concealer brush just a little bit better. It's just got a little bit more to it. Yeah, the Real Techniques is just like really thin. I'm gonna get rid of the Real Techniques, believe it or not. I just surprised myself. Okay, so this is the Wet n Wild, I think it's their angled eyeliner brush. It's really similar to the MOTD one. They're both like the same shape. So I'm just gonna get rid of the Wet n Wild. Don't need both. I don't use that kind of brush all that often anyway. And then these two EcoTools brushes are also from that like 10-year-old set. I'm gonna keep both. I use this one. This is the smudge brush. I use it for the inner corner all the time. And then this one is like, it's called their shade brush. It's a very small shader brush. I like that for a lot of different purposes. So I am keeping those. All right, let's compare this EcoTools crease brush I put in like the maybe pile. Let's compare it to the other crease brushes I have and see if I really need it. So see, the thing I like about this one is it's kind of a medium-sized crease brush. Like these are like large fluffy crease brushes, and then this e.l.f. one is like a much smaller crease brush. And then this MOTD one, it's like very different from all the other crease brushes. I think I am gonna hold on to it just because it's so old that it's not like I can donate it anyway. So I might as well just keep it. If it's still holding up, I think I'll keep it. So for eye brushes so far, keeping all of these, and I'm getting rid of all of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and keeping 20. So I got rid of about a third, which is pretty good, I would say, for me. Moving on to face brushes, I also have, let's see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 19 face brushes. That's not crazy considering I had 29 eye brushes. But let me sort these out a little bit more by like what I would use them for, and then we'll tackle them. So I sorted them out. These are my foundation brushes, kind of concealer brushes, I guess. A lot of these I use for a lot of different purposes. Powder brushes, these are kind of powder brushes too. I use them to set the under eyes. And then like cheek brushes, so bronzer, blush, highlight, all of that. All right, foundation brushes. I have been really into sponges lately. Not to say I don't use brushes sometimes, but I really don't need more than 2 foundation brushes. I have 2 of these Wet n Wild flat top brushes and one of the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. This is newer to me. I really like this e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush for foundation. I think I'm just going to keep one of the Wet n Wild and then also keep the e.l.f. Let's see. I think I'll keep the Wet n Wild one that's older because I'd rather donate a newer one. I mean, the older one is still holding up just fine, but I think this one is newer, so I'm gonna donate this one. Concealer brushes. I honestly really don't like using brushes for concealer these days, but it is nice to have at least an option for that. I feel like this e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush has just, I don't know if it's just gotten old, but it just feels scratchy to me lately, and whenever I use it for concealer, I feel like it just kind of like, especially under the eyes, it just kind of like smears it around and like makes it streaky but doesn't actually blend it in. So I'm just over this brush. Like I used to love this, but I feel like maybe it's just gotten too old now. So I'm gonna get rid of that because I just don't enjoy using it anymore. It's just gotten really like hard and scratchy. Then I have this Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. So technically it's an eye brush, but I use it for concealer because it's just like a giant crease brush and it's very like dense and domed. So for me, it makes more sense to use as a concealer brush. I think I am gonna keep this one because it's newer and it works better for me than that e.l.f. one. And then this is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. I don't like this for foundation because it makes it streaky for me, but I do use it sometimes for the under eyes, and also lately I use it for cream contour, cream bronzer, just like cream face products. It's really good for that, so I'm gonna keep that. I have the Wet n Wild powder brush, the e.l.f. complexion brush, and then this is the e.l.f. kabuki brush. I don't really reach for kabuki brushes that often. I think I'm gonna get rid of this. And then I think I am going to keep both of these just because sometimes I do use a powder brush like this for bronzer or just like other cheek products. So it kind of makes sense to have two. So like if I'm using one for something else, I can still use the other one for powder. And yeah, that makes sense for me. And then I also think I'm going to keep both of these. These are the e.l.f. small tapered brush and highlighting brush. I use both of these to set the under eyes. And it is nice to have two because, you know, if one is dirty, I do like to have a second one. So I'm going to keep both. Then I've got all of these kind of like cheek brushes, so let's do blush brushes first. I have the EcoTools Precision Blush Brush, which is just like a very standard size and shape blush brush. Then I have the Ulta Beauty Cheek Brush. This came recently as in a gift with purchase set. I really like these Ulta brushes. I also have their Ulta just blush brush. I don't know how different these two are. And then I have the e.l.f. Flawless Face Brush, which I was expecting to be more like a powder brush, but honestly, this is like more of a blush brush to me. But let's see. The Ulta Cheek Brush, I think I'll probably use this more for bronzer. And same with the e.l.f. Flawless Face Brush. I can use this for bronzer. If I'm traveling, I can use this for like every cheek purpose. So honestly, I think I'm going to keep all my blush brushes. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to get rid of any of these just because I don't have that many of each type. This is the Wet n Wild contour brush. It's pretty old, but it is a really good shape for, it's kind of like just an angled contour brush. The EcoTools Blending and Bronzing Brush is like a really big duo fiber brush that's good for bronzer. The Real Techniques Setting Brush, I love this brush. You really have to whistle while you walk up the stairs. You really have to whistle. The Real Techniques Setting Brush, I use this for highlight all the time. I love this brush, one of my all-time favorites. And then the e.l.f. Small Stipple Brush, I like to use this for contour, powder contour that's too dark, or for like cream products. This has a lot of uses. So honestly, I'm not getting rid of a lot of face brushes, and that's okay with me because I don't have that many of each kind to begin with. And a lot of these kind of multitask, so it's nice to have more than one, like, you know, multitasking cheek brush, because if I'm using one for bronzer, I can use the other for blush. It just makes sense to me to keep more of those. So yeah, kept 16 and got rid of 3. So not terrible in my opinion. Just because I don't have a giant face brush collection. Okay, so getting rid of a total of 12 brushes, which honestly, I know it's not a huge percentage compared to what I'm keeping, but this is going to save me so much time when I'm cleaning my brushes because I usually clean all my brushes all at once, and to not have to clean 12 brushes, that's probably going to save me like 5 to 10 minutes or so, which means that I'm probably going to clean my brushes more often because I won't have as many of them to clean, because I always just end up cleaning them all at the same time anyway. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I feel like now I really didn't need like, what, 6 flat shader brushes for my eyes. Like, that's just not necessary because I can spot clean them in between uses. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I hope you guys enjoyed this brush declutter. I feel like this was just long overdue. Like, I didn't even realize I needed to do this until the other day when I was cleaning my brushes, and I was like, you know what? I really need to declutter these because I have too many. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, definitely make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you guys next time.